now you guys are just starting to implement that, or where are you implementing that into the district right now?
Well, we're in full implementation this year. So we have been working over the last 3 to 4 years, really helping our teachers to understand what the standards are and what the big ideas and the shifts are and where we're moving with that. This year will be our first year with the assessment. So our students in the spring will take the new assessment under the new standards. So we're pretty excited about that opportunity that we have this year and to see where we're at. And we know it's going to take time for us to get our students. It's not just going to happen. You get new standards and overnight the students are able to meet those standards. We know we're going to have a little bit of time that we need to get our students prepared to meet that level of rigor. So
now, let's say hypothetically I'm a teacher, and for your sake, Christina, I teach English, and I want to kind of my students to learn on their, sharpen up in their public speaking as well as their teamwork. What advice, or based on the Common Core standards, what advice or direction would you give me on projects or things that I can do with them to kind of get that?
Well, within the English language art part of it, there's some big shifts. One of the shifts, and I'll get to the speaking part in just a second, but one of the shifts is writing from evidence. We want our kids to really be looking at, when they go to write something, we want them to be doing the research, to be reading different texts and sources, to be pulling the evidence from that to support their writing or claims or arguments that they're making. So that's one of the shifts, and so English language arts teachers are really addressing that piece of it. Then another shift is text complexity. We really want kids to be reading at higher levels of text that are more complex, because as we know, when we get into college, that textbook is not a friendly source.
Right.
And it takes a lot to navigate that and really understand and glean information from that. So the kids need to be able to be prepared to do that. And within that, they need to be able to have the social skills or the interpersonal skills to be able to collaborate with their peers to find the information and what it means. And I can give you an example of one of the instructional strategies that we're teaching teachers how to use, which is kind of like a pre-reading strategy, but it's called 30-Second Expert. And what the kids are, so say the teacher was getting ready to have the kids read about the Constitution. And so
because we know kids aren't going to be like, oh yeah, the Constitution,
I know all about
can't
that.
wait that.
Exactly. So they're getting ready to read about that. So the teacher would say, okay, I want you to write down everything you know about the Constitution. So they would write down everything they would know. And then they would become a 30-second expert with that prior knowledge, what they already know about it. And so they would find a partner, they would stand up with that partner, and they would share with one partner, would talk for 30 seconds and say everything they know about it. Now the other partner has a job too. They need to be listening, because when they're done, they're going to repeat back what they heard their partner said, and then they're going to switch roles. They would go back, they would write down the new learning that they got from their partner, and then the reading would begin, or the study would begin on the Constitution. So it's setting them up to read more closely, to be more engaged with what's happening, and they have that personal social interaction with a partner. And that's an important skill, because think about when you go to have your car fixed and you get there with the mechanic, and if you're not able to tell the mechanic what it is was wrong with your car, that mechanic's not going to know what to fix. On the other hand, that mechanic has to have good listening skills to understand what's wrong with your car, listening to you to learn that. Otherwise, they're going to be taking the whole car apart. You need to hone in on what it exactly is. So,
yeah,
the problem.
No, that's important. It's almost, I find it so much more intriguing as a parent that my children are learning this way versus here's your book, go home and read it and write a paper on it. It's hard to get kids enthusiastic about that, but doing projects like this that gets them up instead of just seated the whole time, that's I can see how that could really.
And they're taking charge of their learning.
Right.
And one of the examples I like to use in math, Meredith, is nobody comes to your house and gives you 30 long division math problems to do, right?
No,
I'm pretty
and
sure
if they did, that would be very scary.
So the nice thing about, the world we work in is integrated. Everything we do is intertwined. We're not compartmentalized in our life. And so our education system is catching up to that. And really, this integrating these concepts and skills together allows our students to work in a classroom that emulates the world that they live in and that they're going to live in on their own when they're not, living with their parents. One of the things Christina mentioned is these interpersonal skills and kids being able to work together. And it doesn't matter what field you're in. It can be in any field, and mathematics is also one of those subject areas that can be applied across any field. So take marketing, for example, one of our college and career classes at the high school, or college and tech education classes at the high school, those students aren't just working on marketing skills. They're working on reading and writing and listening and speaking skills, and they're learning how mathematics is going to apply in their job. And so we really need to make sure that all our students have that experience and understand that things are integrated and that math is used in a problem-solving setting in the real world. That's why I say that nobody comes and gives you 12 long division problems, but you might have to figure out how much cubic feet of bark you want to buy.